Okay, so here we are inside Photoshop, and we have the Mac Fiegel design sheet, and we're going to take the two images that we have here, the front and the side, and we're going to take them into Maya, and from there in Maya we're going to build a 3D block out. So what we're going to cover is blocking out in 3D in Maya, creating a simple extruded mesh from a cube. Then we're going to export that into ZBrush, and we're going to actually make some alterations in ZBrush, get the size, but we will have the correct proportions coming from Maya, so we know that they will fit. We'll do some Z sketching, we'll modify the shape, we'll add detail, create an adaptive skin. We may even decide we want to make extra Z spheres in there as well. Combine it all together and then re-export it back into Maya, where we can change the model size, set up the pivot points, do a topology check and make sure everything works, and rebuild any surfaces. So let's prepare this. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to actually crop out the image. So here we go. I'm just going to simply take the image, and I'm going to take it from the center point down the center of the character. There we go. So there we have those two bits. I'm just going to go into Edit, Image, Crop. So that's given us it's given me my my cropped out image. Just double click on this to make it the full size. And now I need to turn this into a front and a side view. So I will take all this selection here, all the way to the back of that point. I think that will be about right. And just going to copy it, which is Command C on the Mac and Control C on the PC. Create a new one. This will have the correct width and size. Click OK, and then paste. Command V, paste it in. That's that one done. I'm just going to pull this one out because of a Mac. It holds it in a tabular format. And then I'm just going to simply drag from the fingertip, it's about there. Do it the back way. So I'll go to the fingertip. And again, Command C, new file, OK, Command V. And again, this one will be pulled out separately. So we've got this separate. Now we can kill off this one. Don't want to save this. I'm going to save this one as a front, so I'll save for web and devices. Currently this is in pictures, my pictures. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Quality as 60%. Click on save. Pop this into my pictures. Down here. And I'm just going to call this one, let's see which one this is. This is the front. I'm going to call it NAC T front. That's that one saved out. And then do the same for this one. And we will save this one as, it should automatically pick up pictures, so we can have NAC T side. Now it is worth remembering the actual dimensions of this. This was, if we have a look at the image size, you'll find that it is 750 high by 170 wide. So it just gives us an idea. So we can close down this now. And we can boot up Maya into Maya 2012, and we can create a new scene, make sure that we're working towards the right size. Now remember that the Mac Fiegel is only 6 inches high, so we can work in inches for this one. Just bring up Maya. And this we should remember is the pipeline, so we're working on a pipeline. So we've gone through the sketch, we've gone through the design process, create the T-pose, we're now going to be making the 3D blockouts. I'll just blow this up so it's the full screen, and we'll just resume it back so that we can see on the display. I'm going to restore the user elements, show all, and this is what you will see when you first start up. First thing I can do is get rid of the tool settings. In fact, before we do that, I'm just going to go down to tool settings for the move tool, and I'm just going to turn off retain component space and make sure that's turned off so there's no snapping. That's good for that. Okay, so first thing we need to do, go into File, create a new project, open the project window, create a new one. I'm going to stick this into projects. We'll call this Mac block. Leave everything as default, click accept. And I'm going to go and change my settings. So for this we want to be in the window, setting the preferences. And at the moment I think you'll find that we're working under settings as centimetre. I'm going to change this to inches for now. So I'll be working towards inches. And we'll click save on that. And then we can actually zoom out a little bit. We can start to build this character. Okay, so I know that the character needs to be under polygons. I'm going to create a new polygon cube. I'm just going to hold down the X key, which will actually activate the grid snapping. I'm just going to create a cube. Delete that. Try again. Drag out a cube. And drag up the cube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That cube, if I change this to zeros, is in the right place. Make sure that's 3. There we go. Okay, just tab this up. So this cube is in the right place and it's 6 units high. This is as high and as tall as my character is going to be, so I'm quite happy with that. That's quite easy for me to see. So next thing I want to do is chop this in half. So I'm going to put a division on its width. Okay, there's a division on its width. I'm going to take this off here. And I'm also going to get rid of the top and the front. Okay, so I'm left with this sort of half, this quarter of a cube, and effectively this quarter of a cube is going to hold the back, and it's also going to hold the side. Now the side, we're going to do a little bit of texturing. This is where some texturing is going to come into this. So let's have a look at how wide this needs to be. I think it needs to be about 2 wide for the back to actually fit on properly. We'll see when we get there whether that actually works. And we can move the back portion again with X held, so it looks something like that. So this is going to hold these 2 images, remember, that we've just created. So let's have a look at our image planes. So we need to put these image planes onto these boxes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the image planes directly into the actual Maya setup file first. So I'm going to go to my pictures directory, and I'm going to use this is NacMac from the front. I'm going to place this in here, and before I press anything else I'm going to change the alpha down to 0.25, which makes it transparent so I can see everything else, and I'm going to change the width and height. So the width and so the height I want to be 6 units. There we go. Now this is why I changed it to inches, so I knew that we would be working with 6 units, and this just makes things a little bit easier as I'm working with this. Okay, so everything else I can work towards the same sort of thing. So let's just put the center to 0. So that's centered it along the 0 line. Here's the 0 line right here. We can center it on Y, but we don't want that one to be 3. And we know that because of this this polycube that we made before. Now because I deselected it, I can't select it again. So I need to go into a perspective mode to select it. and you'll notice that the image plane input is now under the inputs tab, so it's further down. So I'm working within this input tab now. So I want to send this back. I don't know how far back I want to send it yet until I've done this side view. So let's bring in image plane for this side view. So we'll click on the image plane, and again, if we just hold down on this, we can actually go and find where we were before. There's pictures, and we'll go to the side view, click open, and again, drop the alpha gain down, 0.25. Change some of these numbers, so we want this to be 6 high, and the center point, oops, it must be 3, and everything else is set up okay. You will notice the center on Z is off, so we'll just put that to 0. That puts it back in, bang smack in the middle, and then we can see how our cube fits against this. Now our cube, and you can see that our cube was slightly out. So there we had some issues with that as we went along. So complete those. Now looking through this, we can see that we have the two image planes set up. They look quite good. This image plane here, I'm going to send off to be 1.5 across here by the looks of it. So just go to image plane down here, and we're going to send it in X, on the center of it in X, off to the side, somewhere about there, should be right, -2. And we'll same for this one. We're going to send this one back in Z. We'll send this back 2 as well. There we go. Okay, now we can see that this image plane needs to be centered up properly. So let's center it up properly. We have a center point here of X. We want this to be bang smack on the money. Let's go to the front view. Let's make sure that this is right in the X position. So let's see, we just get this to the X point. I think we'll find it's -1.51 or 2. Just start this one again. There we go. -1.52, and that's put that dead smack in the middle there. Okay, this needs to be just shoved off to the side a little bit further now, just so it doesn't clash with anything that we're building. And you'll notice that these image planes now, they're attached to their cameras. So there's the camera position for the side view, and there's the camera position for the front view. And depending on how far out you are zoomed, or zoom in, as I zoom in, you can see that the camera plane, because it's an orthographic view, changes its size. Now, we don't need to see these, so for this particular one we can turn the show and cameras off. That gets rid of the cameras, and it also gets rid of the image planes as well. Okay, so do bear that in mind when you're working within 3D. You can, if you want, leave the cameras on and just hide these two. If you want to display, you can hide selection. And again, does the same sort of thing. So it's up to you how you want to work. They all should work pretty much independently, but you will find that if you just move them out, say a good 100 or so units, they should be out of your way as you're moving it around, and still be able to work quite happily. There we go. Okay, just undo those. Yeah. It's all about clipping planes, so you've got to be very careful. So we're now set up, ready to start modelling inside Maya, and we need to start creating our first base cube. So let's bring in the cube and zoom straight into the middle, and we can see pretty much where we want this to be. So let's just select these out. It doesn't matter to be too accurate at the moment. We can snap all this together, and then we can snap this up. There we go. So this is giving us our cube size, and we can begin to chop into this as we see fit. Now, I would probably, when I start, be starting with something like a cube like this. So let's get this in the right place. There we go. That would be my starting point when I first begin. I would be looking at trying to make sure I've got enough simplicity there on the model, and then I would begin to extrude, and I would begin to use the insert edge loop tool. So let's start with those. Now I've got the polygon menus open, so I'm just going to drop some of these on. So let's just change a polygon set to edit mesh, and it's now is it going to be Command and Shift. Brings up this tool. We can drop this tool onto the shelf. Oops, so too many on there. Let's just middle mouse drag it off to the side. Hit the bin. There's the UV tool. Okay, so let's start with adding some divisions. So we're going to add a division here, just in here, and just in here. Don't want to be too much. Use the vertex tool just to pull these up, and pull this in. There we go. That takes care of that bit. Then we need to add an edge loop down the center point here. Now we can begin to bring these into the back. And again, I'm not going to go too crazy on this. This is only a design after all, but at least we know that this design does actually conform, because when we did the Photoshop file it all fitted together. And once you have that, then you can start to think about how this is starting to look. So these center points can be gone. Don't need those, because that's going to be split across. Okay, so the next part is taking these two top pieces and extruding those up. Just build that face up here, and you can see that that's now brought in a nice shape for us to work here. And we can see that we also need to add an edge loop, which I'm going to use a quick pick menu here now. I'll just pop that into there. Okay, so we can bring this edge loop over here. This one wants to come, now where we can, we try and keep things as central as possible. So I'm going to move this one out, thinking about where the glutes are going to go, and then this one is now thinking about where the leg is going to come out on the character. Here we've got this point here. I can take this up towards the top of the shoulder. This is sort of the midpoint of the shoulder as well. Again, these can be brought all the way in now. We can see that this is going to go quite nicely with the centre point, and then these can be coming in as well. So we should be starting to get what looks to be like a, bring this up at the top, and just going to pull this up, just pull this up with this, and because we can't see properly we're going to use this key, and we can see properly. There we go. So it's about using the two views correctly as we're working through this. There we go. Now you can see how that's starting to work. I'm not adding any detail at all. Where possible, I'm eliminating all detail. So we just don't need it. We don't need the detail in there. Okay, this next one, we'll extrude out this side. I'm just going to pull this into here, and I'm going to bring these 2 points in, and that's just to make this back into a square, so I can then pull these out, and again pushing this all the way down that line. Just flatten that off at the end, and then use the vertexes to put this into more of a shape. There we go. These can be lifted up and in. And that can go all the way out because it's the put this into the center point using edges, and that can go all the way out to form the arm. Now bring the leg down, so I'll just do these 2 points, extrude those down, and again these flattened off quite quickly. There we go. I'm going to make this out a little bit, and then press the G key and do the same again all the way down to the knee. Now look at the opposite side, and here we can see this goes into this point. The G key again. I'm just going to pull this one in. Just rotate that around a little bit. G key again. And then rotate that back round a little bit. And then G key again. Just flatten that down. Pull this all the way down to the ankle point. Yeah, you can see a little bit on there. And a little bit in here. So that should work quite well. Let's scale those in. Not going too far into it. We don't want to be creating lots of work for ourselves at this early stage. We can sort a lot of this out inside ZBrush. Put that up there. There you go. So that's looking pretty much like a human torso, or a humanoid torso I should say, because NacMacFeagle's not a human, is it? So to do a quick cheat on the head, I'm going to extrude this up all the way up to the top, and oops, go into component mode, bring this up to the top here, and this is going to be where the ear goes through, and this is going to be where the back of the head comes out. And then it is a cheat, it's a massive cheat, especially when we're working the way we're working at the moment, but it'll serve the purpose quite happily and get us into modelling much quicker. So you can see how I've been able to build quickly. Use the edge loop tool just to bring those down. Bring that out, and I can bring that out as well. I'm just going to add, go to the side view. Here we should see. We should be able to see that we can bring this into the side and up. There we go. Now, the neck does need an edge loop in there. To take it, I'm just going to hold the D key down to move this to the side. And then I can just scale this in to the side view. There we go. So there we have it. Not bad. Looks okay. Delete all these faces that we don't need, so I'm going to use the paint tool for that. Just select face, just paint those out. Just delete them. Got a couple selected at the back. Oops. Just using the control key to deselect and then delete those. Okay, so we're nearly finished. Nearly finished. Got a block out, looking pretty good. We're going to test it in a second about how it looks, and then we can start to form new shapes and other stuff, and really take this all the way to the end. So let's just scale this in a little bit this way, and then extrude these out. So we're going to use the extrude key. I'm going to pull this out and scale it up, and do the same again, extruding all the way down and all the way in. Make sure that's looking okay, and I want to add just a little bit of bend to this whole elbow here. There we go. Just so we know when we're animating which way the animations will go. And then we're going to add the hands. I'm just going to add the palm. And I'm going to add the two sections that come out to make the other fingers. Okay. Move these up. Now this is something we could add in ZBrush Direct if we wanted. Okay, we need to think about where the thumb is going to go, and it's going to go just inside here. So we're going to just rotate this around a little bit just to give us a little bit of space, and then extrude this one down and out. And again, I'm not doing anything, not doing too much of anything really. I'm just going to extrude this one down and scale down as well. And just finish that off. I can probably fix most of that inside ZBrush. And then each one of these needs to be extruded out. So we're just going to extrude this finger, knock that out to the side. And this one. This one. Just nudging it over to the side a little bit. And then this one. Okay, and that should be everything I need for that. Just to get the hand in the right sort of shape. Fits most of the fingers. Blocks are done. Now we've just got to put in the last of the details, the feet. Extrude these down. Okay, I want to add an edge loop in here. I'm going to extrude these two faces down and forward. And I'm going to take these vertexes and manipulate them into the right sort of place. There we go. And we can flatten all these out. This is easy to flatten out for us at the time. We just take all these, put them out, and we can start to look down this middle section as well and bring these into the right sort of shape. Making sure they're in the right area. I'm not going to add the toes, no need for adding toes today, although they will need to be considered This one, just take this one further. There we go. So kind of made it a bit of a cheat there. And we can extrude this one out. There we go. So we've kind of made a little bit of a cheat if we're looking at these feet. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The character block out is done. We can mirror this across. It looks like it's going to be +X, and we see that the mirror's not worked properly. And if we open up the mirror tool, we can have a look at Y, and you can see this is because it was a -1.85. So if we just put that to 0, it should kick it across to the center point, and we should end up with a character. Something that looks at least half decent in there. Okay, before we export it to ZBrush, we're going to go File, and we're going to save it. And I'm going to call this one my, let's call it NAC Block 1. And it's a student version. I'm sure you'll all have this same error message, or it's not an error, it's a message as it comes up. We're ready to go into ZBrush. So we have a Go ZBrush button, which has disappeared. So I will restart Maya, put that button back in, and from the next point on we will talk about exporting this out as a ZBrush model, then working it up inside ZBrush. So this is the block out finished, and we can move on to the next thing.